So Michelle is the U.S. head of content and thought leadership for a Fortune 500 company. She is responsible for integrated marketing communications across 20 plus segments and industries. Michelle is the author of Students' collegiate level courseware, Essentials of Social Media Marketing. She has managed the social media profiles of executives, large companies, small to medium businesses, and she graduated from Bryant University with a degree in marketing and received her Master of Business Administration degree from Texas A&M University. Michelle has also taught digital marketing at Bryant University as an adjunct faculty member. So everybody, welcome Michelle to the stage.
Great. Well, thank you very much for the introduction. And I'm sorry I can't see the chat, but I heard some of your great summer plans. It sounds very nice. And so I'm here today to share with you some of the top social media marketing skills that employers are looking for today. I do work for a Fortune 500 company, as mentioned, and I also taught digital marketing at Bryant University. So hopefully I can share some great insights into what businesses and what companies are really looking for and how you as professors can really help prepare your students with these skills. Before we get there, I want to do a little bit of an introduction to myself. I know my bio was just read, but as mentioned, I am the author of Students' Essentials of Social Media Marketing textbook. I've managed social media accounts of large Fortune 500 companies with over 4 million followers, as well as very small businesses who are just starting their social media presence, medium-sized businesses with thousands of followers. And I also launched and managed the social media accounts of a Fortune 500 CEO for 5 years. And I grew that account to 260,000 followers. I've run social media marketing for very large events like the Paris Marathon. You can see a great picture of the Paris Marathon. If you ever have the opportunity to experience that in real life, in person, as a runner or just as a spectator, it's magnificent. It's a fantastic event, as well as the U.S. Department of Energy Solar Decathlon competition in the United States and in Europe. And I also have, and I also taught digital marketing at Bryant University, as mentioned, and I also have a 7-week-old and a almost 2-year-old. So 2 under 2, and you can see my 7-week-old. I just took the picture a half hour before this speaking session. I put his student onesie on for ProfCon today. So as an industry professional and an adjunct professor, I have a unique perspective. I've helped prepare students for a career in social media marketing in the classroom, as well as hired and managed social media marketing professionals in the industry. So with that, I'm going to jump right into my 10 list of social media skills that employer values. And I'm going to start with number 1 is social media marketing strategy. So while pure tactical skills are certainly valuable and there's a role and a place for those in social media marketing, it's important for these marketers to be strategic. They must understand the bigger picture and recognize how social media fits within the overall business objectives. And they should really have a vision for how the brand should be leveraging social media. Yeah. Some of you might need to mute their line.
Hey, somebody's unmuted on here. All right, you're gonna have to unmute yourself again, Michelle. Sorry about that.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, you're good.
Okay. Can you see my slides?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Okay, great. So as I was saying, they must have a vision for how the brand should be leveraging social media. And to do this, they need to be able to set goals for the vision of the business, determine the proper resources, roles, and responsibilities, really have a great understanding of that marketing, create and execute marketing campaigns and planning those results. And this exact topic is actually covered in full detail. I outline multiple steps of how to launch and create a social media marketing strategy in chapter 3 of my textbook if you're interested in learning more. And number two is really the ability to keep up with new trends and platforms. So we know social media changes by the minute. You can see some of the pictures I have here on the slide, TikTok and Clubhouse and House Party, new social media platforms that are emerging, every year. And then new social media features like Instagram Reels and YouTube Shorts and fleets from Twitter. Social media really changes very fast. So it's important for these marketers to keep up with these new trends, keep up with the platforms, keep up with best practice. And this can be very time consuming, but it's a very important part of the job. And as managers, we expect for our team or our social media marketers to know the ins and outs of the social media platform, the new ones and the old ones, and adapt the social media marketing strategies accordingly. So as a manager, I'm looking for my team to come to me with a proposal of, hey, Michelle, I think we should be on TikTok and here is why. Or I think we should be setting up a new shopping experience on Facebook or Instagram and this is why. Or I think we should be leveraging this new ad feature on LinkedIn because it will better reach our target audience, or we'll have more engagement or better results, or we'll drive sales or meet our social media marketing goals. And that's really important for marketers to understand and be able to present those proposals to their managers and to their team. There are many online publications and newsletters that marketers can subscribe to keep up to date on industry changes. And I recommend just a few here I have in the bullet: Sprout Social. I subscribe to Hootsuite, Social Media Examiner. You can also follow these platforms and companies on social media, and they're sharing articles and blogs and updates on new features, and you can always refer to those. And I also keep my textbook up to date as well. I update it yearly, and you'll see all of those new features and new platforms and added to my textbook. I actually just updated it with a new chapter on TikTok, which will be in the next version of the textbook. So not only must marketers keep up to speed on platform changes, but they also must be in tune to their audience and behavior changes. I'm sure many of these students, if they're a marketer, they've taken consumer behavior, but they need to understand if their target audience is changing their perceptions. Are they changing their online buying behavior, perhaps due to COVID, or because of these new features, because of social commerce? Are they now turning to social commerce and purchasing on social media more than ever before? These are the changes that they need to keep up to speed. Or really, maybe they don't prefer the social media platform that the business is currently using or operating on. And so it's really up to these marketers to understand the industry, understand social media marketing, and adapt their strategies accordingly. And I really like this quote on the left. I don't know if you've had a chance to read it, but it was from the former HubSpot VP of Marketing, Megan Kearney. And she said, we really look for people who have their finger on the pulse of how social is changing. It's one of the most rapidly changing industries right now. And I want someone who's paying attention to it, someone who is fascinated by it, because things shift so fast. And number three, might sound obvious, but to me, one of the most essential skills for social media marketers today is copywriting skills. It's the ability to write clear, concise, attention-grabbing posts that really keep the audience engaged and coming back for more. And just because students have their own social media channels and they write on their own social media channels does not mean they have the skill set to be able to write and post on behalf of a brand. I personally think that undergraduate universities who are students who are majoring in marketing should be taking writing courses as part of their marketing degree. I know it wasn't offered for me when I was in my university studies, and I wish it had been. But really, there's an art and science behind writing for social media. The students should be learning how to write captivating headlines, how to write great captions, introductions, short form and long form content. They might enter into a role where they're a social media marketer and they have to write blog posts on behalf of the company. Or maybe they have to host a webinar and they have to write the script and the abstract and the title of that webinar. And it really takes a unique skill set to be able to craft, that outline for the webinar or, the title for the blog to make it compelling. and make it easy for online consumption as well. As we know, attention spans are very low on social media. So as someone's skimming through their feed, you need to be able to grab their attention and quickly. And they must have a good understanding of the company voice and how to write in that voice. For example, if the brand was a person, what would that person's personality be? Would it be humorous? Would it be serious or professional? So they really need to come into the job and look at the brand and understand the brand voice and be able to articulate that voice through their writing. And they must be able to address the target audience as well in a way that speaks to their pain points and their concerns. So imagine if you were writing to an engineer, or you were writing to a car enthusiast, or a mom like myself, of 2 under 2, right? How would you write to grab their attention and really speak to them? So understanding the target audience is vital as well. And lastly, they must know how to write and adjust posts to fit each platform. So posts on Facebook should sound different than they do on Twitter, but they should both sound like they're coming from the same company, the same brand, or the same person. And you can see some examples here on the slide. Wendy's, and I have some of these examples in my textbook, they have a really unique voice on social media. They like to jab at their competitors, and you can see that they've done that with McDonald's here, and they have consistency across all of their platforms. So they've maintained this approach and this voice. And actually, I might add that many larger companies, like the company I work for, we hire professional writers. So you find that many undergrads that majored in communication or writing and journalism come into a marketing team, and they're writing social media posts and creating and writing content for these larger companies. But smaller companies, they require their marketers to have a wide variety of skills, because they might not be able to afford the headcount or the budget to be able to hire writers specific for social media. Number 4 is design skills. So as you know, social media platforms are driven by creative visuals and interactive content. And that's why social media marketers must have the ability to create appealing designs that connect with followers and increase engagement. And they must be able to create their own photos and images. And in 2021, videos, many companies are doing video only strategies. And so this is something that's really in demand, and you'll see many companies, many marketing teams hire video editing professionals or graphic designers who can create compelling content and create videos, social only videos or videos for social media. And I firmly believe that, social media marketers, they don't have to be professional graphic designers in order to be effective. There are many tools out there today, like Canva, with many easy to use templates available that they can quickly design and create content. But they do need to have basic video and photo editing capabilities, and really an eye for detail. So becoming proficient with design, taking a class on Photoshop, or learning about some of these tools and how to design and create compelling content will make students a more valuable asset for that business. And number 5 is analytics. So admittedly, analyzing data is my least favorite part of social media marketing. It can be very cumbersome. It can be time consuming. Sometimes, presenting to C-level executives about the results, they don't believe in the results. So you really have to let the numbers do the work and convince them sometimes. But analytics is vital to a brand's success, and ultimately their success or their failure on social media marketing. And it's a huge part of a social media marketer's jobs. If you can't measure it, you can't manage it. And so marketers must have the ability to read and interpret data, create insightful reports in order to make informed decisions, and create successful campaigns, and ultimately prove the ROI of their social media marketing efforts. So with this insight, social media marketers can identify trends, develop recommendations, and communicate a proper plan of action. This plan might include tweaking topics, tweaking the format, tweaking messages, A/B testing, changing the time of day that they post to maximize impact, or just changing strategies altogether. I don't know how many times we've launched an ad or a campaign and said, this isn't resonating with our target audience. We're not seeing the results that we want to see. And so we stop the campaign and we go back to the drawing board and we rethink and come up with a new campaign. If you let that entire advertising budget or that entire campaign run through, and then you analyze the results and you see that it was performing poorly, you've now wasted all of that time and money, with a poor performing campaign or ad. And so it's really important to keep up with analytics and be measuring them on a continuous basis. So students really should have a vast understanding of how to report and measure on each social media platform. It's not just limited to social media platforms, however. Companies are looking for prospect students to understand Google Analytics, understand keyword analytics, because we know a lot of those keywords are used as hashtags on social media. Understand SEO, what are people searching on Google, and how can I incorporate those topics and those trending terms into my headline, into my captions, into my content. It's really recommended for these students to get certified if they can, whether it's free Google Analytics certification or it's taught in a university or an undergrad program. It'll really make them stand out and stand out of the crowd, and it's what businesses are looking for. And I actually have a chapter on analytics and social media ROI in my textbook as well. Number 6 is creativity. So this is a really important attribute of social media marketing. And think about some of the brands that you follow on social media. Do you follow them because their content is boring, or do you follow them because their content is engaging? And I welcome you to enter into the chat some of the companies that you follow that you think are really creative or engaging on social media. And I have many examples in my textbook, but a really creative example from Zendesk here on the left-hand side of the screen that you can look at. And many companies today, they struggle when I meet with them or when I'm consulting with them, they struggle to differentiate themselves and create engaging content that really speaks to their audience, because social media is so saturated. They think sometimes social media is a one-way street and they just want to promote their products and services. But that's not what social media is about, and that's not what your audience wants to see. So social media marketers today, they must have the ability to consistently come up with new and engaging ideas, creative initiatives, creative campaigns, from interactive content to creating contests, creating videos that have the potential to go viral, or campaigns that have the potential to go viral. They need to think of innovative ways to stand out from competitors and the millions of other companies and people and posts that you're competing with on social media for. This means they must be willing to experiment and push the boundaries. Sometimes it means going outside of what the brand would typically do, but you need to have that skill set to be able to, pitch to your manager or pitch to executives a certain approach and why you think you should be creative. So these creative social media managers, they're really good at, developing innovative social campaigns, creating visually appealing multimedia content, considering every aesthetic and every detail of the social post, from the image or the video to the link to the formatting of the copy, right? Multiple lines, using emojis, hashtags, that all comes into play when creating a social media post. And really having the ability to lead a brainstorming session with team members or other creative minds, and that's a valuable trait as well. So number 7 is social media advertising. And we all know that organic results from social media died off a very long time ago. And these platforms, they don't get paid for promoting content for free. Their money comes from advertisers and the companies that spend money on their platforms. And companies that know how to generate sales from social media ads can really unlock sizable revenue streams through advertising. And today, companies large and small are looking to hire social media managers who have this skill set and have the ability to work with ad management tools to create, target, optimize, and measure ads all within their budget. I know that, for my company, which is a Fortune 500, we have very large budgets, but we no longer, we do organic social media, but every piece of content needs to have paid media spend behind it. And I know many other companies are adopting that methodology as well. And I can promise you that the person or the team who can develop and optimize social media ads will never run out of work. I have to say that our paid media team is the busiest team that we have. We're constantly working with them to create, advertising campaigns for various tactics. Number 8, customer service. So to be an effective social media marketer and represent a company or brand online, you must be a people person. Part of a social media marketer's daily responsibility is community engagement and customer service. So this involves creating, monitoring, and responding to conversations in a timely manner, answering questions, engaging with brand advocates, asking questions online with your audience to try to increase engagement, and providing good customer service, even if that means responding to trolls or negative feedback. And there's an effective way to handle these customer issues. You can see the example here on the screen. I won't read them all, but this is Nestle's improper response to some of the posts on their Facebook page, and this is also in my textbook. And you can see this isn't the proper way for a brand, especially the size of Nestle, to be addressing their target audience. So it's important for them to use social media to build consumer trust on behalf of the brand and have that skill set to be able to do so. And you can see on the left-hand screen the evolution of customer service over time. How many of you have gone to Twitter to post a complaint about your Amazon order or ask questions, or gone to Facebook Messenger to message a company directly? I think social media is the new customer service stream, and many of you, I'm sure, reach out to companies on a daily or weekly basis to ask questions or post complaints about a service that you received. Number 9 is flexibility and agility. So social media is a 24/7 job. Social media marketers, many times they don't realize this. I would say a lot of the students, maybe, coming into a company or profession, they think that they're going to work 9 to 5 and that's it in a social media role, but that's not the case. Marketers must be able to respond and adapt to changes at a moment's notice. So whether it's a social media crisis or something changes in the industry of the company you work for, or maybe even internal changes within the company, or a worldwide pandemic like COVID-19. Social media managers must be able to keep up with these developments and changes in the industry and rethink and respond at a moment's notice. And I know, when the pandemic hit, many companies stopped their paid social media advertising. They had to stop, a lot of the planned posts that they had scheduled and, rethink, what is the message right now that I should be distilling in the market? Should I be promoting my product and service? Should I be creating paid media advertisements for my products or service? And you saw that shift happen very quickly for many organizations. And you see, things that happen around the world and how companies are responding to those major events. And so, unfortunately, time management is a big piece of this puzzle. And this means social media managers may never be off. As I mentioned at the beginning of this session, I managed the social media accounts of a Fortune 500 CEO. He lived in Hong Kong and he traveled 360 days a year. So there was a 12-hour time difference between myself and him, but he was in a different country every single day. So this means I had to be on 24/7 for 5 years. No matter where in the world he was, if my phone rang at 3 a.m., I had to respond. On weekends, at weddings, at events, I had to take my phone with me. And and I had to have my computer with me at all times and be ready to respond and available to him. And in fact, I was in the middle of I was on a boat in the middle of the ocean in Punta Cana, snorkeling when I received one of those very important phone calls when he was with the prime minister of a country. So you really never know what situation you'll be in when you have to respond and react. And so time management might also include for social media marketers, setting time aside to scheduling posts ahead of time, setting time aside for analytics or for strategy, because you can sort of get lost in the day-to-day and forget about, I need to run this social media report and it might take me an entire day to do so, or I need to create a social media marketing campaign for our upcoming event or upcoming product launch, and I need 3 or 4 days to sit down and brainstorm and have my mind clear to come up with that campaign. So flexibility and agility is a huge piece of a social media marketer's responsibility. And then lastly, leadership skills. So as a hiring manager, I'm always looking for my next replacement. Who can I hire to be the next leader or manager of my team? And as I mentioned, I have a 7-week-old, so I'm on maternity leave right now. And who is that person who can fill in for me during the 3 months when I'm out of work, right? And step up and manage my team and be that leader. Who can I call on? And that's the person that I want to hire, to replace me eventually once I move on. I would love for them to be my succession plan. And so social media managers must have the ability to lead teams, keep them motivated, keep customers excited and engaged, and keep management informed of updates. So most of the time you think a social media marketer's job is externally facing, right? They're just speaking to customers and communicating with them. But a big portion of the job is to be able to speak to executives and leadership and to be able to sell whatever it is you're doing up the line to leadership. After all, they're investing in you as an employee. They're investing in social media marketing for the company. They're potentially giving you advertising budget to run ads on behalf of the company. And if they don't see that value and they don't see the ROI, your job could become obsolete, your budget could become obsolete. So you really have to convince them and show them the results and why they should be investing in social media marketing. So these individuals, they must be effective communicators. And lastly, have an overall understanding of the business strategy and how social media can help and grow and scale that business. And so I know I ran through those a little fast. I'm a fast speaker, but here's just a summary of the top 10 skills. And at this point, we can open it up for any questions. If you have any questions, I believe you can type them in the chat, and I would be more than happy to answer them.
Yeah, we've had quite a few questions come in. So the first one we received, Michelle, was any tips or resources for teaching copywriting and content marketing?
Yeah, so I actually, in one of my chapters, there is an overview of how to write a blog post. I believe there might even be some tools on headline generators that I offer in that chapter. So I can actually pull that and send it to you, or you can look it up. But there are many online tools like free headline generators or free headline formula generators. You can see even the headline we use today, top 10 skills, right? Using numbers really increase results. So there's a ton of information online and data on this formula works best, using numbers work best. When it comes to post images, all the way down to the direction a person is facing in the picture can increase your results. So there are a number of online resources. I'll be sure to pull those up and compile them together and send them to you.
Thank you. And another question we have is, any tips for how to teach being flexible or adaptable?
Yeah, so, I would say it's difficult with some students today, right? Where in my experience and when conducting interviews, right, they expect flexibility and work-life balance. And as a millennial, I expect the same thing. So to be honest, I think you have to set expectations up front when you're hiring or with the students who want to pursue a profession in social media marketing, and let them know if this is your career path, if this is something that you're interested in, it is a 24/7 job, right? Um, you know, especially for bigger companies where you're operating in multiple countries around the world 24/7, maybe not so much for smaller companies, but I don't think it's just limited to social media marketing. I think, unfortunately, you know, with mobile devices and now everyone working remotely, you have to be accessible to your company. And many people, there isn't a 9 to 5, it's 9 to, you know, 12, and then you feed the kids, and then you go for a walk, and then you have lunch, and then you work, you know, till 8 p.m., and then you check your phone before you go to bed. So um, I think just, I don't know if you can teach it, but maybe just try to set expectations up front and, you know, determine if they're willing to be flexible and be agile. And I'd have to think about that a little more, maybe some activities that we could do with students on agility and flexibility.
Awesome. Thank you. We had a question from Carrie. What percentage of companies do you think use internal paid social media marketers versus paying an ad agency to create content? Where do you see the marketing trend on internal versus outside companies?
Mm-hmm. I actually, I don't know the percentage. I would probably say a lot of small companies are looking for their 1 to 2 or 3 or number of employees to do that advertising in-house. Again, I work for a Fortune 500 company, and we have a large media team in-house. With that said, due to the increasing demand, we're currently outsourcing some of that to agencies. So we have an in-source and an outsource model where, you know, in order to meet the demand and the capacity that we have, you know, team members that handle some of our campaigns in-house, and then an agency that handles some of that as well. So you'll see a lot of the larger companies. Again, there's pros and cons to both. I prefer an in-house team, right? They learn the company, you work with them every day, they get to know the brand and the voice. Sometimes it can be very difficult to work with an outside agency, get them to understand the company, you know, how you communicate, getting them to respond effectively and quickly for you. So personally, I prefer working with an in-house team, but I'd have to do some research on what the exact percentage is.
Awesome. Thank you for that one. Here's another question from Bahagan. How do we feel as educators about this always on lifestyle?
Maybe some others can enter their responses in the chat on that one. I mean, again, there's pros and cons. In my 10 years, you know, with my last 10 years, I would say I've had a mobile device where I had my email on it. I'd have to look at when email came out on mobile devices. I think it's been the last 10 years. So I'm just used to the always on. With 2 kids under 2, it can be difficult. So I don't know if anyone else has some opinions on that. I think we've all sort of just accepted and adapted to it, but you also see some countries like France, for example, who have prohibited communicating after hours. And I applaud that approach as well. You know, in CEOs, I've seen recent examples. I think I saw a post on LinkedIn the other day where the CEO responded to somebody who was emailing after hours and said, you know, look, you shouldn't be emailing after hours. We can address this tomorrow. I can't see the chat, but interested to see anyone else's feedback on that.
Yeah, we have quite a few people say as educators, they definitely feel the pressure to always be on, and that they're always on, and students expect 24/7 access to faculty.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you guys for coming in the chat with that one. Here's a question from Lean. How does the social media marketing group work with the sales team?
Yeah, so sales is a critical component of, you know, not just social media marketing, but marketing. I think every marketer needs to be sitting down with sales on a daily or a weekly basis to shadow them, to understand their customer pain points and questions, they're the avenue to our customers. So even having the ability to sit in on phone calls, attend sales meetings, learn what are those questions that customers are asking, because a lot of the questions that they're asking could be great content for social media, right? And social media can also be an enabler for sales. There's social selling, right? There's equipping your sales team with LinkedIn Navigator and sales and tools for them to be able to sell on social media. You can place, LinkedIn InMails for them. You can place advertisements for them and turn over the leads to the sales team to then call out on the leads. So there's a really strong interconnection. And I see many companies today, sales and marketing often sit in silos. And in order to be successful, you need to bridge that gap, and you need to have that close relationship with sales for them to be able to feed you information so you can, post that on social media and educate your audience. And then for you to be able to, help them with marketing and help them secure those leads, and then hand over those valuable leads for them to call out on.
Yeah, that's really good. If you were in the session with Donald Kelly, he talked really well about the importance of sales and how you can have the communication and collaboration between teams. So if you missed that, just watch out for the recordings later.
There's
Another
a great
question. Oh, sorry.
Great book, and I don't know if I have it handy, but it's Revenue Growth Engine. And it's about sales and marketing and how they should be intertwined and connected. So I recommend that book for those of you who haven't read it.
Thank you. That does sound like a really good recommendation. Another question we have is, do contests still work?
You tell me. I think ProfCon has done, well, maybe you've done some contests and giveaways, but it depends on the industry, right? And the company. I do believe that contests work, and also it depends on the target audience, right? Are you targeting B2B professionals? Are you targeting, a younger audience on TikTok, and you're doing a contest, or a challenge on TikTok? We've seen a lot of great success for that. So I'd say it depends on the brand, the company, the platforms you're leveraging, the target audience. But I do believe the right contest, the right social media marketing campaign, and some ad spend behind it, and you can be successful with contests. And I actually have a lot of examples in the new TikTok chapter of brands who have seen success with TikTok contests and challenges as well.
Yeah, we've been running a lot of contests for ProfCon. I think we still have the $1,000 flight voucher is still up for grabs. So you make sure you're looking out for that. See, another question. What is a good way to show upper management the ROI of social media when you are working for a nonprofit where you are not selling a product, but a way to help those in need?
Yeah, so it depends on the goals that you set, right? So if your goal is to not increase sales, maybe your goal is engagement or link clicks or registrations to a free webinar or event that you have, right? Set the goals, maybe it's engagement, and then you say, okay, well, we want this engagement percentage, or maybe it's reach. You just want to reach a certain number of people. And so your goal is impressions. And so set those goals at the beginning with upper management, and then you can easily report on those metrics to upper management, right? We received this amount of impressions, this reach, this number of engagements for our event promotion or for our campaign, and maybe even compare them to competitors, see what competitors are doing, and show those results. And once they see those competitors and they see you're outperforming them, that can really click for executives as well.
Yeah, that's really good. Definitely setting goals is so important at the beginning. All right, do we have any more questions in the chat that you guys want to ask? Let's see if there's any in there.
Some great questions.
We have one question about your textbook. I would like to create a digital marketing class for my college. Would your textbook make it a turnkey?
So if there's a social media marketing component of that digital marketing, was it a question? Was it a class or a minor or major?
a digital marketing class for the college. So I don't know,
Yeah,
John, Gerard, if that was you, if you want to add anything else.
I think so. I think it was just a class. So
Yeah, it was
my
a class. Sorry, I was muted. Yes, it's a class, a digital
yeah,
marketing class.
so my textbook covers social media marketing and all of the platforms in very specific details, social media advertising, but it is specific to social media. If you want to get into other digital marketing textbook, like other digital marketing tactics like Google AdWords or website development or things like that, I believe there is another digital marketing textbook that Stukin offers that would be good for that. But my textbook covers webinars and blogging and podcasts and social selling. So definitely have a demo, or I'd be happy to speak to you about it offline and answer any questions you might have.
Yeah, I know there are definitely people who kind of mix simulations like Mimic Pro and a social media textbook in their digital marketing classes. So definitely easy to kind of build out your own course with Stukin. I posted a link to our digital marketing subject. And in there is mobile marketing, digital marketing analytics, and digital marketing essentials. So if you want to learn a little bit more, you can go in there.
Thank you.
Amanda, I see your question about the simulation. I am not over the social media simulation, but I believe TikTok is in the textbook. Right, Michelle?
Yes, it is in the next update. I believe they've already I'm not sure if it's being updated in June for the summer session, but you can certainly ask Stukin about that. But it is coming. It's going to be chapter 11 now in the textbook.
Awesome. Yes, Stu said not live yet, but will be for the fall semester. So y'all look out for that.
Hi, this is Amanda. Quick question. I meant in the simulation, like, will students be able to post to TikTok in the simulation?
Yeah, I saw that. I am not over the simulation product. I am over the Mimic Pro product.
Okay.
I don't know if we have anybody on our social team in here, but that is definitely really good feedback, Amanda, for when we're looking at updates. All right. I don't think we have any more questions for Michelle. Thank you so much for being on. Really great presentation today. Good way to end the day as well. So we hope to see you all tomorrow, 8 a.m. Mountain Time for our day 2 kickoff. We're going to start with Karen Freeberg. So be on the lookout for that, guys. See you.
Great. Thank you so much.